Whew. Okay, just a second. I want to set up one more thing and then we want to start right away. um, yep. Whew. Okay, all right. So what has changed since the last time when we made a live stream? So first of all, I found some little gaps that I want to close today. And second of all, I made it possible that you have now the opportunity to always see my browser screen. So whenever I change it here, you will see directly the browser screen. And if I switch back to dev, you will see the dev environment. Isn't it great? Such easy things directly help a lot here in live streaming, I think, that I don't miss anything. Sorry, needed to drink something. Okay, I really looking forward to today because we want today change a lot of stuff. I took my the last few couple of days and I just checked a bit out what I can improve in our application because right now we have only that login Dart. And let us make this away and let's take a small look what we have already. So what we have done is we created that authentication stuff. And as you can see, we have everything in our login page. So currently our UI and our logic is very strictly coupled, which I really don't like. So this is something that we want to tackle today, I hope. Second of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, we have a lot of logic down here, like that future state, then here that handle sign in with Google and so on. And also this I want to clean up a little bit so that we separate our UI strictly from the client. For that, we have to introduce a package or a state management. So what is state management? To make it short, state management is the management of states. Who would have thought that, right? But we have that nice little Wikipedia entrance, for example. Now, where is the picture? Here. So let's see if this makes sense more or less. So we have a state that we get maybe from the server or from the client side. And in our case, we could concentrate on the client side because we are working right now with Flutter. So which means everything that changes in between our, let's check if we have something from Flutter here, because I think it could be much more understandable. So introduction, yeah, here we go. So let's say we have a login and we want to add one item for that particular user. So I click on that My List item, the card will update, and as you can see, the card is up here. And my card will change then. So all of that is somehow a state, right? So we are on a login screen is a state. We are on my catalog is a state. We want to add a list item inside of our state and so on. And for that, we have different options, right? So simple app state management, let's check it out. Nice, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So in that case, we have a widget tree. In that case, we have our My App, we have a login screen, my catalog, and my card. And what we want to do now is we want to have always one of these three states of the view. So that means for us, we have to give the My App a state of which level of this is selected right now. And for that, we go and jump into our code. And what I want to do first is I want to introduce a new component. So let's start with that. We create a component. Let's say, how How about homepage, maybe? Yeah, why not? Let's call it homepage for now. .dart, which will contain our old stuff that we have also all inside here. So that scaffold and everything will be our homepage for now, because I don't like to have everything here. So homepage, and that will be our scaffold. So we need here a class called homepage that extends carefully a stateless widget for now, which we import, right? So go for it. And we introduce it with homepage. No, we don't need that. We have to create a missing override. So, and this should do the trick. So now inside of the build, we want to have that scaffold. And this will now lead to some problems because that handle sign-in is not part anymore, which is fine. We remove that for now. The login page needs to be imported. We take that package here for. And with that, we have already our old way more or less. So this handle sign-in comes to somewhere else. And as you can see, we needed to copy all of that stuff just to have at the end the login from that side. We really don't want to use that like this. So we remove that. And we want to have the home page here, which we have to import now as a package. Beautiful. So we change that file name. We say home-page. Cool. So, and with that, we have now created a new level more or less. And what we also want to introduce is a new file, a new folder that I call for now, let's say, create new directory. Let's say we could say state, or what I would like more is maybe for now, we could call it, let's say, service for now. So, and one of these services is our login, or better user service .dart. And that user service will take care of all the login stuff that we created before. So this stuff should go into that user service so that this can take care of login and logout and register and whatever we want to do. So everything from that login screen, we will start with that right away. We will remove now this Google sign-in and Firebase out, which is basically our dependency, and we move it to user service Dart, which is a class. It is just a class, a user service. Up, and we'll have this too as a constructor. So now this it will not find, of course, the libraries, which we change with that. Cool. And what I want to do, maybe this is too early. What we do earlier should be the following. We'll revert that for now. And let's clean that once more up. What I want to show you is if we look further in that state management, we will get not only the example of that one, what we also will get, as you can see, not this is the good example, tab handler, we'll give it up. So we want to change notifiers. This is what we want. This is more or less the state management, how Flutter likes it if you need a basic state management and that's not getting too complicated. If you want to have a more and better state management, you should use the block Flutter. And for that, I will make also a video sooner or later. But for till now, I would recommend you from the boring Flutter development team of Google developers, the video that you will see. If you look at it as a VOD, you will see it up in the top corner. Okay, change notifiers. So what we do with that change notifier, and not, as you can see here on the right side, we have change notifier provider, and a consumer of the whole thing. So what we want to do now is we want to have one change notifier. This is the one who, so if we read that, Change notifier is a simple class included in Flutter SDK, which provides change notification to its listeners. In other words, if something is a change notifier, you can subscribe to its changes. Okay, so that means we provide a simple class including which provides a notification to its listeners. So if something is changing inside of that class, we will notify someone about that change. So in provider, change notifier is one way to encapsulate your application state. For very simple apps, you get by with a single change notifier. In complex ones, you will have several models and therefore several change notifiers. In our shopping app example, we want to manage the state in the cart in a change notifier. We create a new class that extends it like so. Ah, look at that. They called their stuff model in that case. So maybe my user service is not too clever. Maybe I should create that and change that to model. And say here also, this is a user model.dart. If you ask, I don't have that anymore open, but with Shift F6, I get this nice little rename frame from Android Studio, which I can then translate. So what we want to do is now creating a user model class that we extend with the change notifier. So let's see. Yeah. Oops, sorry. With the change notifier. Yep. And we create a new class, extends like so. Cool. Yes. So in that change notifier, that we change notifier, up, we import the foundation for that or material. Not quite sure. Let's take the material one for now. Cool. And what we want to do here is we want to create a model. Up. This is our constructor. And inside of that constructor, we want now to set up the Firebase and Google sign-in. At least this is my plan. So let's see if this works now. So we get the Google sign-in. We want to get the Firebase out. Perfect. So what I want to create now is if something changes in that states here, like Google Fire sign-in or Firebase out, I want to notify my my listeners. So for example, that out has the current user and also has an on-out state change. So if something is changing, we can do something. For example, we listen and we get maybe data from it, which is in that case a Firebase user. I call it user and I think so. So if I check out that on-out state changed, we will see, yep, it's a stream of Firebase user. So receive Firebase user each time the user sign in or sign out. So this is the notification that we get from the authentication change. And this is what we want to use to retrieve or send all our listeners an information. For example, that notify listeners. So how do we do that? We go inside here again and say, okay, whenever, okay, does it work? My Android Studio don't want to. I can't press enter. My keyboard don't work. What is wrong? Okay, never happened before, but my keyboard don't work right now. Does anything works? No. That's bad. What is that now? Okay, guys, maybe it recovers. Does it work here? No. Okay, my keyboard got executed right now. That's bad. Okay, let's talk a bit more about states. So what we see here for that example that we have with that simple app state management, we have here down there our item that we want to select and would put it in our cart. That we can display it later in our other widget called My Cart. And therefore, we notify the card. No, we change the state of the card, and then we notify our my card information. And with that, we have always a possibility to get access to our state. So when user clicks on one of the items in the catalog, it's added to the card. But since the card lives above my list item, how do we do that? A simple option is to provide a callback that my list item can call when it is clicked. Darts functions are first-class objects, so you can pass them around any way you want. So inside my catalog, you can have the following. Interesting. This works okay. Yeah, but this problem here is very basic. So I could give him a callback. That was also an opportunity that I had, that I say, okay, from the login Dart page, I create a callback that I retrieve then from my main Dart. But the problem with that is, something works. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, my keyboard is back. But the problem with that is that it's very basic and it's not really reliable, and you have a lot of strong coupling around, which I don't really like. So which gets old pretty quickly. Yeah. So you try to avoid that, because for that change management and this consumer and change notifier is invented more or less. Okay. So my keyboard seems to work again. So back to that. And what we want to do now is inside there, we say Google sign in. On current user changes, listen, and now we say we get a Google sign in account. Okay, so Google sign. Now we don't need to do that because it's anyway there. So this is a account, and whenever this happens, we want to notify our listeners. And the same thing should be done. Can we also give the account inside? No. How should that work? That I can also say items. Okay. Yeah, so we need here inside, of course, a user. So let's say we have var user, or better, Firebase user, which is empty for now. And maybe we can create a status. So that means we have different status, what the user is currently in, right? So we have like, for example, is this how I create an enum? I'm not quite sure. Let's test. Const final, yep, let's call it final. Or can I say enum? Nice. Like this and then that. Okay, let's see. Dart enum up. Dart programming. Okay, in that case it's tutorials point. Good one. So we have enum status, and then we have the different stati that we have, or status that we have. Okay, let's try that. We give no string. We say authorized, unauthorized, authorized. Authorizing, maybe something. Zing. So in between, it's just loading screen. And what we can also do, we can say unknown, or we leave that for now away. So we are logged in, we are not logged in, and we are currently on the state to log in. That's the three states that we currently have. And that's this, and this is this. The same thing we do for the out. So that means when the thing is changing, we listen to it. We get a Firebase user, and that Firebase user, oh, that's a good point. I don't even know if this is working. Let's try that. And so we say now Firebase listener, notify listener. Oops, listeners, cool. And remove an S. And what I want to do here is quite easy. I can say user is user. And this one maybe given an underline just to make sure that they are separated as the class ones, and the other one as the internal ones. Cool. And what I can say, the user is the user. What I also can say is that the status is as soon as, what do I get from that alt change? We get the user. If maybe I should add something like if user equals null. So then the status equals unauthorized. So else we do this free stuff up, and the status would be then authorized. Oh, nope. Authorized, yep. Notify users. And what I don't like is that this user getting overwritten here. Why is it gray? Oh, well, because it's never used. Yeah, sure. That comes in the future. So we have that. We add that semicolon down here, and we added that. So this is everything that happens currently in the constructor. Maybe we find a better place for these two, but right now I would just put them here. The user equals Firebase user. What we can check here is also sorry, weird times. Okay, so and this is the user. Cool. So what I want to enter additionally is the methods for the login part. So if we scroll down here in our login Dart, we will find these two futures that we have here. And as you see already, it's getting red because you can't find the stuff. So we take them out and go to the user model. Say you are taking that. And we go back and we say, okay, take also this future. And we put it also here inside. And as you see, our classes down here want to access these two guys. And with that in mind, I would say we take them up out of the constructor and just put them directly initialized up here, static initialized. So, and they are final, and I think this is not even necessary. It should be because it takes the information, which class it is from that information. So if I go here inside, we will see that we only returns that class. And that means automatically for Dart that this Google sign-in can only be from that type here. Same thing for Firebase out. We get the instance from that. And with that, for us, it's clear that in that out is only possibility this Firebase out instance, nothing else. So with that in mind, we can use it down here. And as you can see down here, it's getting also greenish. Yeah, everything is happy. That's already very good. So let's see if we can clean that a bit up. Nope, perfect. So this is asynchronous. We wait for a lot of stuff. So what do we see here? We want to have credentials at that place. I think what I can do is I can inline that with Control-Alt-N. We can inline stuff. So that means that get credentials can only have credentials inside. So I don't mind to have them in one line more or less. And that Firebase user is getting anyway returned. And I think that print is not necessarily needed because we have anyway a snack bar. I'll put that all together. This is what I don't like right now. That's a bit much. But what I can do is sign in with credentials. Cool. Something like that. Looks a bit better. The Google user comes from Google sign in, and we wait for Google user authentication. So if we wait anyway, we can also wait just once, or do we have to make it twice? Yeah, most likely. Okay, yep. So keep it separated for now, that we can work with that. So we sign in, we get the authentication, we push the credentials here inside, and with that in place, we sign in with credentials. So this is how the Google sign-in works. Nice. And handle sign-in with email is now here. So how do we access that for now? So we go back to our login and let's check out. It's already looking much better, right? So we have already removed two dependency, which is always good because it makes the file much more readable and also not so cluttery. And now down here in the login controller, we have it red, and down here in handle sign in with Google, we have it red. So what we want to do now is we want to access this user model. Okay, so for that, I need some help from our API. And let's check what we have here to get access to that information. So test adding item increasing. Oh, that's something that I also have to check, how we can test all that stuff, which is very good. That's the next part, I think. So change notifier provider is the widget that provides an instance of change notifier to its descents. It comes from the provider package. Okay, we already know there where to put change notification. It comes from the provider package. Does it mean I have to install a package? Interesting. Wait, did I have something overread or forgot something? I'm sometimes a bit fast, so that's why. That's it. Reactive, okay. Declarative UI, nice, nice, nice. Okay, so that means I have maybe to install a provider package. Let's go to pup.dart. Pup.dev, let's check. I'm not sure. Pup.dev, of course. Okay, and here we are. And now we search for provider. And if I'm looking for it, we find this one. I go, of course, to Flutter because we want to be here. And if I jump inside, we see, okay, we are on version 3.00. That sounds good. A dependency injection system built with widgets for widgets. Provider is a mostly syntax sugar for inherited widgets to make common use cases straightforward. Okay, sounds interesting. Let's see. Can allow be integrated with const. Providers now throws if used with a listable or stream. Considering use a listable provider, stream provider instead. Okay, so all of that is good. We want to use that according to our documentation. So let's see how we install that package. Usually, if we want to install a package, we have to go to the pubspec YAML. I just want to see, here we go. Cool, so under installing it is. Depend on it. Add this to your pubspec YAML. Very good. I will do that directly. So if I go to our working space again, we have that pubspec YAML here. And here we have our dependencies. As you can see, we have currently dependencies to Flutter, to the SDK, Cupertino icons, Google sign-in, and Firebase out. I most likely already explained all of that, but now we have also one to provider package, and that's awesome. And with that new dependency, we have also to get all that changes, which I do now. And now we're running Flutter pub-get inside of our console. So if you don't have that, you can also go inside here and say Flutter. What was it? Sorry, forget about it. Flutter pub-get. Yeah, sorry. Flutter pub-get. And with that, it will try to get it. Same you can do with Flutter pub upgrade. So all of that steps that Android Studio give you here up there or something are also executable via command line. You don't really have to rely on the integration in that case. Cool. So now we have all of that. We can go here and our login is still red. So how we go further? We already know where to put change notifier provider above the widgets. That will need to access it. Okay, so this one needs to go above the widget that will need to access it. In the case of card model, that means somewhere above my card and my catalog. You don't want to place change notifier provider higher than necessary because you don't want to pollute the scope. Okay, but in our case, the only widget that is on top of both my card and my catalog is my app. So, and now you maybe understand why I created that homepage, because I don't want to directly put it in main Dart. I think it's not nice to have directly in the first little widget that we have that we want to execute directly the state management inside. That would only be happen, or that would be happen if we would have the login and the homepage in more or less one on the same level. But what I want to do now is the same as they do down here. I want to access more or less that card model, or for us, it is the user model. And for that, I have to surround our app part, so our our widget with that change notifier provider. So what does it mean? I go to homepage start and have here my login page. And if I make now Alt Enter, we get that nice little help here from our IDE. And for example, I can wrap that with a new widget that we do now. And which widget? We want to take the change notifier provider. So we do that, execute, we get the child inside, and we have our login page there. So now it's getting red because it's not there. We have to import the library. Also this I do with Alt Enter and then import library. If you don't see that right now, you can also click on that nice little red bulb and click on import library. So and that imports us the library that we need. In that case, our provider package that we right now downloaded. As you can see, up there is the 3.0.0 plus 1. So it's exactly that, what we have written here in our pubspec YAML. There we go. All right. So now we have the change notifier. And you see already, Android Studio is so nice to give us already the information. The parameter builder is required. Nice. So we add that one. So again, I go inside, go on top where the error occurs, press Alt Enter, and get this nice little bulb, add required argument builder. I do that. Cool. I sort up. And what's now? The builder seems to be a function that gives me the context. And then it executes something. So in my case, I want to have that card model, or better said, the user model. And because we want to return it directly, we can just create it with, does it not work? Ah, okay. We can just do it this way. No? User model import, sure, cool. Beautiful, beautiful. Can I put that one down? Cool. So what does it mean? Note that we are defining a builder which will create a new instance of card model change notifier provider. Is smart enough not to rebuild card model unless absolutely necessary. It will also automatically call dispose on card model when the instance is no longer needed, which means whenever our widget is completely killed, that model will also be going away because of the garbage collector, which is super nice because we don't have any problems with that. Okay, if you want to provide more than one class, you can use multi-provider. Okay, so that means we have also the possibility to push multiple providers inside. So now we have a consumer. Now the card model is provided to widgets in our app through the change notifier provider. Declaration at top. We can start using it. This is done through the consumer widget. Return consumer card model. In our case, it will be user model, builder, context, user, child, returns something. Okay. So what I don't know is if I can now surround my login part, or if I want to, or if I have to do it down here, that I say, okay, I wrap that one with a new widget and say this one is a consumer with the child. Yep, consumer needs a type, in our case, user model. Okay, and now it complains about the builder. Cool. Just take the basic for now. We have to change that, or I want to change that to user model, just to make it a bit more clear. The context is there. That's interesting. We get also the child component. Okay. What missing return? What do we need to return here? Return text, total price, card price. We must specify the type of the model that we want to access. Okay, but we don't want to consume it here. So let's roll that back. For my understanding, I want to go to that login page. And here inside our build function, we have somewhere a return statement. Email field, password field, login control, register control, login with Google service. Oh, cool. And now we have our form here. And this one we want to wrap with a new widget, consumer, version child. And that one needs our user model. Import that, import, why do we have two now of them? Yeah, take one and create the builder for it. So nice. Okay, so let's see what happens. We must specify the type. The provider package won't be able to help you. Provider is based on types, and without the type, it doesn't know what you want. Okay, macht Sinn. Makes sense. The only required argument of a consumer widget is the builder. Builder is a function that is called whenever the change notifier changes. In other words, when you call notify listeners in your model, all the builder methods of all the corresponding consumer widgets are called. The builder is called with 3 arguments. The first is the context, which you also get in every build method. Okay. The second argument of the build function is the instance of change notifier. It's what we were asking for in the first place. So that's the user or the card in that case. You can use the data in the model to define what the UI should look like at any given point. In the model to define what the UI should look like at any given point. The third argument is child, which is there for optimization. If you have a larger widget subtree under your consumer that doesn't change when the model changes, you can construct it once and get it through the builder. You can say child and then the text that you want to show. Okay. Don't do this. Consumer card model. Return homogeneous widget homogeneous. So if you have a very big widget and you only change one part of it, then you shouldn't create the whole thing. Instead, we should do something like that. We have the consumer directly at that place where we want to have it. But how does it work? Right now, I did maybe a mistake with that classes here. Maybe they shouldn't live here. They are not part of the state. They are still something else, right? Because the state is the user and the status, nothing else. Okay, I have to think about that. But what I would say is that maybe this consumer is in a way too far range. So what I can do, I can say that login control, and I don't know if this is working now. How can I access that? I could say something on that builder. Okay, good question now. How can I call these to beautify? I want to tackle that handle sign-in with email when I'm here inside, when I unpress the whole thing. Can I put the provider off? Sometimes you don't really need the data in the model to change the UI, but you still need to access it. For example, a clear card. You look at that. Once allowed to use to remove everything from the card. It doesn't need to display the contents of the card. It just needs to call the clear method. Exactly what we need, right? So we could use the consumer card model for this, but that would be wasteful. Yeah, that's true. We'd be asking the framework to rebuild a widget that doesn't need to be rebuilt. For this use case, we can use provider off with the listen parameter set to false. Okay, interesting. So provider off, add item. Build method will not cause this widget to rebuild when notify listener is called. Okay. So what can I do? I could say something like provider of context add item. I have to read it once more, but I think that means for me on press, I could say something like provider dot off. Is it possible? First I get that off context. Is it context? Yeah, it's context. Beautiful. And listen double point false. Okay. Add item. Add is the function that I want to call, right? So what I can do or should do now could be handle. Wait. It's so close. What did I miss? Okay, that. We have to say here user model, and we have to import that one, and then we can most likely execute the handle. No? Notify listener, add runtime, has listeners, notify listeners. Sad. What happens if I go here inside? We have that handle sign in with email and I can't access it. The question is now why this add function, is it somehow special? Let's go up, void add item. So this has worked pretty fine, so he can access that. Why can't I? Do I have any access to something else? Maybe dot notify listener, add listener, remove listener. So it seems that I user model. Did I miss something? Using the above line in the build method will not cause the switcher to rebuild. Okay. Maybe I have to put it in something. So let's say we have user model equals. And we go to the end of the line and we say then here, like for example, user model dot. Okay. I really thought that would work, but somehow it doesn't. Maybe this makes it private? Ah, that could be. Ah, that looks good. Maybe that was the problem. So maybe I shouldn't do it this way. And here we go. Cool. And because we knew it did it multiple times, parts, I would say we push that up into the login page. Whoops, that was maybe wrong. Here in the build method. And with that, we can access that one. We can still make this. Welcome user. Yep. Catch error. Yep. Register control will do then the register later. Here we can say also dot handle sign in with Google, which should work now. Yep. Beautiful. Gives us back then. Nice. And that means whenever we move now, user, wow. So we did a lot of stuff right now. I'm sorry for that, but it was like a cleanup, right? That was very necessary, I think. So what we can do now in that home page for now is we want to access that login page. And what we want to say is, hey, if you are logged in, because we have that consumer, right? So what we can do is change notifier provider is not necessarily the right thing to have here, right? If you want to provide more than one class, okay, but why would I provide that for what? Right, an instance of change to its distance. It comes from the provider package. Because what I wanted to do is like something like this and want to say then consumer child, want to create like a builder method for it. Don't know if this has to return something, but doesn't have a return statement. Want to return that login page, more or less. I don't even need that child. Want to return this login page and want to use that value.user. Why don't I have access to it? It would be consumer of user model. And this one will be the user model value dot. Yep. And here I want to have access on that user, which is unfortunately the on the status. This should not be private. So what I can do is now value status, and we don't call it value, we call it user model, just to make it a bit more beautiful. Yes, and now the login page don't have a parameter for that, so we add that one. We say status from type status, nice and beautiful. But no, I don't even need that here, because what I wanted to do is now, instead of returning always a login page, I wanted to do something like, okay, this is maybe now a bit overhead, but what I can do is user model.status equals authenticated status dot authorized, and that's really bad. Let's change that name to not authorized, but authenticated. I think that sounds more usable. And then we return home page, or let's say we make a to-do list, to-do list page. I think that's a quite good example. So what's now, this is red, of course, because we don't have that yet. So we create a new component for it. We say, okay, create a Dart file. We call it to-do list page.dart. We add the whole thing, and we have, of course, to create that. Let's do it with the WebStorm. We say create class. It will create it down there. We extend it as a stateless widget, which needs to have a build method. Cool. That's beautiful. We take that, we put it in the other class. Here is getting a bit red because we don't have imported the right package. And we go back to our home page, and here we import now that other one. And what we are saying now, we consume that, we check if something is changing, so we get the consumer here. So whenever this user model changes, the status is changing, we should return that to-do list page. Let's see if this is working as I expected, or do I have to do something else like user model dot, what do we get here? Notify listeners? It makes no sense, but we are the listener right now, right? So we want to listen to something. So what I think is whenever something changes in user model, as far as I've understood with that consumer, we can go once more in here. Now that card model is provided to a widget in our declaration at top, we can start using it. Won't be able to help you, provider. The only requirement argument consumer widget has is the builder. Yes, but with that, we want to have that consumer at the place that we want. For performance reasons, I could also say, no, in that case it wouldn't work because we want to show the other page, right? So the consumer needs to be here. Okay. Why did I start that in the first place? You see, we have that home page, and inside we have that scaffold. If I switch now the view with a navigation to another page, we would get rid of that snack bar. We wouldn't see it if we change to another view. I will demonstrate that in a second. First, I have to repair some stuff. Cool. So this works. And maybe I make also the user possible to get. Cool. So user, this is a bit difficult. I think I call that user Firebase user. You see, already problems. This is user, yeah, better. So with that, we are logged in. That looks good. We have that. Okay, so maybe I can get rid of that, but let's leave it for now, just in case. Because what we can do, because we are just changing the status, we could say that if the account equals null, then we say status equals unauthorized, and else we say status equals status dot authenticated, and also that change of oops, well, make it the old way if the keyboard don't work. Copy, rename. Here we go. Unauthorized would be unauthenticated. Cool. Beautiful. Can we change that? Yeah, looks good. Okay. What have we seen here? If you have like a very easy statement like that one, where you have, I just roll back for a second. So where you have an if clause and then an else part, with Android Studio or IntelliJ, you have the possibility with Alt-Enter on that if statement to replace that whole one with a conditional if-else statement. And with that, you have the same thing. You ask for that condition to be true or false. And if you are true, then this will return. And if you are false, you will this return. It's quite handy to know these shorthands and to understand that shorthands, because then you can use them more often, which helps you a lot, I think. Cool. So we ask the status here, we change it, fine. So and according to what the change is, now we should see now the to-do list page or the login page. Currently, we have nothing in our to-do list page, so let's change that. We want to display, do we have a nice little to-do list? I think we have a checkbox list or something in Flutter. I think I've seen something like that. Oh, Stack Overflow, that's a bit too early. Let's go first in the Flutter API. And we have the checkbox list tile class. Sounds very promising. So a list tile with a checkbox, in other words, a checkbox with a label. Okay, sounds good. Does it needs a parent to show the checkbox tile as disabled? Pass null as an on change. Okay, nice. This widget shows a checkbox that, when checked, slows down all animations, including the animation of the checkbox itself getting checked. Okay. This sample requires that you also import scheduler Dart so that you can reference time deletion. Okay. Okay, this is something about that. Okay, good enough. Checkbox list tile. But it sounds that it needs to live in something. List tile, stateless widget. Creates a combination of a list tile and a checkbox. It needs to live in a list view, I think, but it doesn't mention here somewhere, which is a bit sad. Can we list view with image? Yeah, let's try it. Anyway, checkbox list tile. So if I say we return that one, what do we get here? It needs the value, which is false in that case, false. Cool. And what is the other one? Unchanged, which can be just nothing for now. Okay, so what do we see anyway in our app? I mean, we didn't start it even, sorry for that. There we have the possibilities of hot reload and everything, but we don't use it. Okay, so we did it quite a lot. So make a short recap for now. We created a new Dart component where we show now our new stuff inside. We created a consumer, a user model, and we get the logic, remove the logic from our login Dart, right? So with that, we cleaned up our login Dart, so our login widget, which is looking very nicely now, and has only components inside, so nothing else. And in our user model, we keep now our business logic. So that means our business logic is now separated from the concerns of the view. Additionally, we have the to-do list page Dart, which is a small widget that just shows a list tile right now, which I think should be still in another one, which called list view or something. Oops. Is it list view? Yep. Why is it red? Yeah, because it's not children, so perfect. And this needs to be an array of stuff. Oops, sorry. Up. And nope. Here. Up. That should do the trick. Cool. Yep. So we have also children. That looks good. What is that? Firebase Core 4 Android uses unchecked and unsafe operations. Okay, that sounds very dangerous. We ignore that for now. Okay, but what we see is we seem to be logged in, which is kind of nice. But still we have that checkbox list tile, but it seems that we need something like a title. Hello world, for example. Guys, I learned about around every text that we want to show as a string, we have to have that text widget. I learned, right? So, and if I click, nothing happens, right? Just a ripple we see shortly, but nothing happens because we set the value explicitly to false and we don't change the state somewhere because we live in a stateless widget. We can't, right? So for now, what I can do, I can convert that whole thing to a stateful widget and keep, for example, a list of widgets, widget list. Let's create a var for now that we call, I don't know, checkboxes, which is an array and contains objects. I create for now to, let's call it to do, and these are to do's. And now we create to do, which will be a class for now, a small easy peasy class. I don't know, we set Pojo on in Java, plain old Java object. How do we call it in Dart? Dojo? Maybe. So let's create that dojo. That sounds weird. So which have a constructor, and I want to have in that dojo. I think I stick with dojo. It's very nice. I love that. Okay. What do I want to have? We want to have a title, it seems. So we have a string title. Is it big string? Yep. Better. Yep. So a string and a boolean, because we have the value. Good. So what we want to do now is we want to create a lot of them. So we need a constructor, as I said. Put it down. Go here. Say to do, and we give a title and value. And with that, we say title equals title and value equals value. Cool. So does it work? So string, for example, and this needs to be a boolean. Let's make that a big string. Cool. And now we can say here to do and give it some text. For example, hello world, and we give him false. And because this is currently anyway accessible because it's public, we can anyway change them. But what we also can do is we make them private, and then we need to create getter and setters for them. Let's see if I can do it in an easy way. Title set get. I don't know anymore how does it work here, so we will go for now with the public variant and then getting complicated again. So we keep now the state of this to-do here inside. We have to-dos, which is a list of to-do lists. Let's call it this way, it's better. And what we want to have at least two to-dos to make it a better example. So goodbye world, just to separate a bit, which is true. Okay, this, and we have, of course, closure. So beautiful. Everything is broken. Nice. Is not a subtype of type stateless widget. Sorry, what? Okay, it's quite easy, I think. It's not a subtype. Yep. We have to restart now our application with not a hard reload with the other one. And then we have to do something like here. We have to say to-do list dot map, where we get a to-do back. And what we want is we want always, if we get that back, we want to return checkbox list tile. Go away, where we say the title should be a text of to-do.title. And the value, there is something wrong. Let's clean that up for now. Too much things are happening. So let's remove that once more. So we have the children. Now I want to say to do list dot map. We get a to do back from it, and we want to do back from it. We want to return a checkbox list tile with a title that we say text of to do dot title. And what we also need is the value, which is to-do.value. And now it's getting a bit weird. Why is it getting weird? Maybe because of that. And maybe I have to say to list at the end. No, doesn't like it. We mapped the thing. Give me just a second. I need to think shortly. Okay, we add that now. We return this. You still don't like it? Ah, yeah, sure he doesn't like it. Yeah. I see. Cool, we remove that checkbox list tile because we don't need it, and we remove that area around it because we want to say that we map the whole thing into a list. So this checkbox return, this map here, will be collected into a list. Wow, it's getting so red. I'm sorry. What is happening? So let's roll back for a sec. Take that once more out. We delete that once more. Get this out, and now we start all over. So we say we want to go over the to-do list. We want to say map because we want to do something with that to-do. And what we want is we want to return checkbox list tile. So, and this one needs to be collected to a list. Beautiful, works. I'm sorry for the a bit fast working there. So to do value will be here, and we have a title that we say to do dot title. Title. Schwuppdiwupp. Yep, sorry, it's a string. You remember there needs to be a text around it that we can give it some cool things. And of course, the onChanged is necessary. And now we need that because whenever we get a changed value, like the value, we want to change the value of the to-do. Equals value. And semicolon. Cool. So now we get some errors. I don't know why. We delete that for now. We cut that off once more and rebuild everything just in case. Take a look here inside. And now we start up all the application again. Let me take a sip of water in the meantime. Great. Okay, and now our our Flutter application start up, and we get an error again. Failed assertion line 233. Data unequals 0. A non-null string must provide to be a text widget. What did I do wrong? This is to do value. Value. But this seems to be a value. It's all good. Text to do text. Where do we find something? The following assertion was thrown building to do dirty state. Okay. A non-null string must be provided to a text widget. Okay. Text start somewhere. Okay. There is a template bug, new text. Inside our to-do list page start, line 30. Line 30 seems to be that this one is failing. And why? When the exception was from new text, okay. And the following non-null string must be provided to a text widget. So this one was null in the meantime somewhere. Is that the case? Very weird, or not? No, we don't want to do that. We want to do something like this. It's a map. We want to create something out of it. I thought I'm smart, but somehow I'm feeling more stupid now. So let's do something like this. Let's see what happens. We get another error. unfortunately. To-do list build, Flutter, to-do list page, check. Failed assertion value, the unequal 0 is not true. So the to-do list seems to be not false. Maybe I have to do that differently. How can I access that? That should do the trick, I thought. Let's change that slightly. Let's say, just in case, we say current title, just to understand if this is the case or this is the problem. Current value, which is this value. With that, we change that, of course, current value. We say here current title, and last but not least, current value. Okay, that's still failing. Crazy. Okay, let's breathe. Failed assertion value unequal 0 null is not true. Either the either the assertion. Let's Google for it. Maybe I'm very close to it and I just don't understand the problem. If you see it, just tell me. You need to pass a string to the text constructor. Are you serious? I thought I do that. Actually, I did pass a string to the text, otherwise it throws compilation error. This error log might be due to hot swapping of code. Maybe we need to fix that. That is bogus, then you can close it. Understood. The string is null at the moment you call the constructor. I think your issue is duplicated off. See Hicksy's suggestion on the comments. Or if you really want to display a text widget, you can use the null aware opportunity. The string null, okay. So let's try this one. Why not? I mean, in the worst case, what do we lose, right? So we go here. We take 2 question marks and give an empty string inside. Still not. What? Okay, let's hot swap the whole thing. Maybe just the whole Flutter is right now a bit confused. So another sip of water. Nice. Now here we go. Okay, so this seems to work. So at least something. Maybe someone of you understood what the problem was. I'm not sure if this is really the problem because this is automatically the value right inside of build. So it was not inside of build. Sorry guys. This was the problem. Yeah, here we want to have it because I created that up there somewhere and that makes the problem. So if I clean it now, should be fine. Wonderful. Okay, so if I close the whole thing again and start it all over again, sorry for that, but I just want to make a point. I want to understand that this is correct. So what I did now is I created a class which contains only some basic values, nothing special, and we created 2 of this type, and I can now add more of them. And what we see is we created a basic list with that and a very few code lines, right? I mean, this is everything we have for all the to-dos. And we can create now or set up any kind of controller behind that to retrieve at the end this to-do list with a future. And then we could add all of them, would be also possible. So, and if I click now, does something happens? No. So why not? I hear the sound, that's nice. Don't know if you hear it. Okay, this doesn't change the value currently, which is a bit sad. To do current value, we get the value on change. So what I will do now is I change the mode. We go now to that little bug here, which says debugging mode. And in the debug mode, we have the opportunity to directly see all click changes and everything that we do there, which can help us a bit. Another sip of water, beautiful. And we open up our app. And now we are jumping right here inside. We have the current value, it's false, and the value that we receive is true, which should change the state, I think. But of course, something is not done. We didn't set the state of that widget. So to do something like that, we have to call a method called set state and put that stuff inside here. With that, we say we have to re-render our widget. Now, it doesn't do anything. Does it come here into place? Yep. I really thought this would be the problem. Now I'm a bit sad. To-do list. Maybe it's inside of that now. Let me think. We override that. This should work. We override it. We build it new. But maybe we override it then with these values. So maybe we should take that out. Let me try that. And we say here that it could be null. And if it's null, we send an empty string inside. And with that, if it's reloaded, it is. We can click it. Finally, Gott sei Dank. So what we see now is if I click it, we change the state of the Flutter app. And with that, we see that we can set and deset the flag. And we can click everywhere we want because the checkbox list tile already takes care of that we don't have to click just the checkbox, that we can click everywhere we want. So just to see how the list is working, I create a bit more of them. Reload. The hot reload is through, so let's click. Okay. Doesn't work like I expected. Let's press this here once more. The whole state is not initialized again, so I have to rebuild the whole app for that, unfortunately, because we are not inside of that build part to override it. But if I do this, we should now see a full list of widgets. And because it's wrapped inside of a list view, we have the possibility to scroll inside directly. So also this is taken care of. And this is really a beauty of Flutter. It's so nice and beautiful designed. It's very good. Love it. So here we are. And all of them has their own state. Everyone is true or false. Beautiful. But didn't make my point with the scrollable. I'm sorry for that. Let's create some more. And let's call that one last, just in case, that I don't want to forget it. And then we need some seconds. Rebuild the whole thing. And I don't have any water anymore. So yep, here we go. We start up again. And what we see now is hopefully a very nice list that we can scroll on. Here we are, very nice. So, and I do use right now my mouse wheel, but it works pretty fine. And that's quite good. So you can test here around, can scroll, can swipe, see the nice animations and so on. Very good. Okay, so let's remove all of them. I think we don't need them. And let's switch back to our login because we have a problem. First, our text up here is wrong. We have new login page, and for that we have to change that somehow. And I think, what do you all think, inside of that homepage start, we maybe have to wrap our scaffold with that change notifier that we can access that user model, or is it the consumer that we need? No, I think both of them, I think. Let me check. Yep, both of them. So that means we can change this up here, put that here. Ooh, now it's getting badly red. Was maybe a bit too quick. So let me check once more. We have that builder that we also need. We have the change notifier. And then it's just some, so maybe, up. Something like this. And here in the body, we can do something like, can we do that? I don't know. Let's test. We could do it in a single line. We can say this, take this and say question mark, taking this, we don't return, we just give it by, double point, and take the return statement of that login. The other case, cool. It's yellowish. This function has return type of widget, but doesn't end with a return statement. Okay. I'm not sure. Let me check what's wrong. What have we changed so badly? So if I surround that with a new widget, we call it consumer. Child, we say this is a user model. Zip. Let's see if it's complaining that I have a builder inside that is absolutely the same one like up there. Oh yeah, it's very hard complaining. Very good. And this consumer we want to wrap with a new one. Change notifier provider with a child. And also this one needs a builder, I think. Yep. Beautiful. And now we want to get rid of that change notifier and that consumer. So that change notifier, we can do some tricks here. Replace widget with its children. And the same for the consumer. Is it possible? No. But we want to get rid of that whole builder thing because it's already surrounded. And that if statement needs to be shortened from our perspective. So as I explained it, we try that once more. We go and say, give that, return that, we return anyway all of that. So this, return blah, blah, blah. Double point, remove that, get rid of that return. That's a bit too big, I don't see anything. So I go back here in time. Return user statement, this one, else login page, and then this comes. No? Okay. Somehow I'm a bit too fast here, I think. But I really don't like it that we have it twice. That's not good, I think. Because all that child, that consumer, this stuff here, that if case, could be in the builder. How's the consumer builder? Returns that or that. So the child is not necessary. What we can do is in that builder, how did it work with that builder? We have to go back to the documentation about the provider, about the state management, with the change notifier, with the consumer. And here was it that we can have the child, and then we have the text that we want to have. Can I also, if I have the builder, I return, I get my consumer there where I need it. Okay, maybe I need the change notifier about everything, but the consumer doesn't have necessarily to be around both. Can I change that? That I say, okay, this scaffold gets a new widget, which we call change notifier provider with the child, and this change notifier provider can be replaced with its children because this one gets a builder. Okay. With that, and now what we can do is we just say that this app bar with that text get also a consumer. We have a new widget, consumer, user model, okay, which has a child and needs a builder. And what I want to do now is to say, no, we don't have a child. We take that. We say we return here this and say here if value, better, value question mark value.user null. Wait, I want it to be notified. Can I be notified? Value dot status. Yeah, exactly. Authenticated. Hey, it's quite difficult to develop and speaking. So let's do it this way. If we are authenticated, then we don't want to show the new login page. Then we want to have like to-do list. And else we want to have login page. Yep, this will be this, and this goes away. Okay, let's see. And this child is not necessary anymore because that consumer is inside. Whew, there is a lot happening. This is that, this is happening, this is the builder. Okay, cool. Let's see how it looks in our app. Everything red. Okay, then I would say restart the whole thing. Close it, start it up again. Don't need a debugger right now. So we can do that. Okay, looks much better. Starting up, installing the APK. Oh, too much work in the main thread, stuff that I don't want to hear. Could not find the correct provider user model above this consumer model. Okay, could not find the correct provider. Consumer, change notifier provider. Did I do something wrong? So what I will do now is I make right click on my file and say show local history because I changed a lot. Just want to see how the, let's go down here somewhere, change notifier, and the builder returned the user model executed, and I didn't do that. So the builder should return that user model and should execute that. And with that, oh, finally, we have up here our new stuff. We changed notifier, has now a bit more consumers up and down. What we also can do if we have, in that case, we have to do it like this. Maybe we'll find a better solution here, but right now it makes sense. That means if we are logged in, we're coming to the to-do list page. If we are not logged in, we're coming to the login page. And what I want to try now is I want to create in that to-do list, a button down here or down here where we can just say, okay, log out or something like that. So it should be quite easy because around that list view, I can create, for example, a row, I think is a good idea. And around that row, we want to have a column. Yeah, something like this. And we have a row, and this row ends here. And there we want to have another row with, I think it has to have children, which is in our case a raised button. Button with the title. Does it has a title? Title? Nope. It has a lot of stuff. For example, decoration. No. What was it? Child with text. Logout. So, and I want, of course, maybe it gets also directly set to us. If I make alt enter, I get add required on pressed that we get. And now we need, again, here in our to-do list page, a variable for our user model, which is a variable user model, which is from our provider dot off. Provider import library dot off, and dot off must be user model. We have to import that too. Do we need that? Yeah, I think we need it. And then what was inside here? Dot. Yeah, cool. Why is it red? One argument required. Which one? Context. Right? And this needs to be this time in the build function. No chance to get around it. And inside here we say down here on pressed user model dot. Yeah, good question. How can I log out right now? We don't have the function right now to log out, so we have to go to that user model and have to create a new future object. Future. I don't know what comes, but most likely nothing. Handle logout. Handle logout. That makes asynchronous, and we say most likely out, which is our Firebase authentication, sign out, and that's beautiful. And what we also have to check if this one needs to be signed out. I don't know if we can just make both, even if we have only one signed in. So let's test that. And then in our to-do list, we say down here user model dot handles logout. Cool. Semicolon. Beautiful. Pressed works. Handle logout. Now I'm not sure. Can we do something like this and put it down here in that onPressed? And maybe just inline that stuff. It's also one, because the benefit that I see here is that build is running always, but it will understand if widgets didn't change. So in that case, it didn't change. So most likely it stays the same. But I don't see now my button. This is sad. Why don't I see my button? Is there any problems? Oh yeah, there is a problem. The render box has a problem. Error Flutter bin, an unhandled exception, cannot hit test a render box with no size. Hit a render box with no size. Okay. Do you need cross text axis alignment? We have a column. Maybe I don't even need that. Maybe I can replace it with its children. Same thing for down here with that row. Replace it for now. Let's see what happens. Still the exception. Vertical view was given unbound height. Vertical viewport was given unbound height. Okay, I see. Maybe this button, this button has to be above that list view. Up. So. No, still not. Resize vertical viewport was given viewports expand the scrolling direction to fill their container. In this case, a vertical viewport was given an unlimited amount of vertical space in which to expand. Happens when a scroll bar widget is nested inside another scrollable. Aha, the column is scrollable? Interesting. Okay. Maybe I can change that somehow? No, not that way. Is a container not scrollable? I don't know, but what we can try is this. And get rid of that column widget. Wait. Column is infinity. The raised button is there. And what we can do with that list view, is there something else like container with it? No, but it should be a list view, I think. But that button makes no sense right now. Can I have here something around? Replace it with its child? No, that's not a good idea. Move widget down, it's also not a good idea. I want to give that column a fixed width, but that's not possible because it's a column, of course. That column, maybe I can give that a container so that the container gets a height. Something like, can I give it something special? No. I don't want to give him a hard-coded like 550, I don't know, what do we give instead? 250.50, I don't know, something like that. It's just to try it around. Yeah, but you can see looks creepy somehow. Can I give it percentage? Is there a class for that? No. That's a bit sad right now. Yeah, but I don't want to over tune that for today. Maybe we can tackle that another time. For now, we're just giving it 500. Okay, it's quite good enough. And now I want to log out. And what happens is notify an ID token listener about and outstate listener about sign out event. So it seems that we both notified something. So the question is now, did we logged out? And I doubt it. I think we didn't. So when I go to the main view, homepage, oh, we did. So that's a quite interesting thing. Our consumers didn't retrieve the information that we logged out, I think. So user model status. We got the status, but the status didn't change. Why not? I think we are here and the login has been done. And with that, because we notified our listeners before we changed the value. And that's not good. And now we did that. And let's see if I log in with the Google services for now. Choose my account. We are logged in. And I can click log out and I'm outside again. Great. That worked. Guys, it worked. Very good. Took a bit longer today, but hey, we did it. So we have two views. We have the possibility to log in. We have the Google services to log in. Next step will be register, for example. And then we can slowly improve our app from time to time. Whew. Okay, very good. So we did a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff for our Git, as you can see. And I think that will be the first part that I will do now. So let's check out our master branch. We mark a smart checkout with IntelliJ, no problem here. A lot of stuff has changed. So what do we have here? Packages JSON is anyway not there. Oh, that's bad. Why is it here? I think it should be ignored. And pubspec log is good, but the other one is bad. So let's see what happens. We have merge conflicts now. That's fine. Resolve them, please. Cool. So packages, we just say we merge them. We can click on that nice little wizard wand, resolve simple conflicts. So it does the most of the stuff, and I don't care about that comment up here, so apply. Then we have our login Dart. What have we here? We have some imports changed. We removed that Google stuff. Okay, it looks like our stuff is correct. Then the right side wins, more or less. And for now, I don't care so much about the left side, I think. Wait, I have to abort. Yep. Because what I don't want is right now, what I can do, I can accept mine, accept yours, accept yours, accept yours. But with that, I should be in line. And now I merge into that final part 5. Okay. Which just changed that one and I don't really care. Okay. It is really just this one. Okay. Just do it somehow. Nice. And with that, we have all the changes that we should have. So if we make now a hot reload here, we should see some changes. New login page, we log inside, see if everything works like we expected. Nope, we get errors. Okay, bad. So that means something has still changed. We have now this back in place. Now we have stupid merge conflicts. That was unhappy. Sorry for that. So let's fix them. We get rid of that. Please enter password. Fine. Here's the provider is missing. So provider dot off user model top context, and then we said, okay, this is our user model equals this. We import the library for provider. We import the user model. Import, yep, and we give that a variable and say, cool, this one, call this one, handle sign in with email, beautiful, and we navigate, we can remove that now because we do that. This sticks where it is, cool, we need that most likely once more, so take it. And what is red down here? Yeah, sure, because we don't need all that future stuff anymore, right? We have that in our other class. And we are here once more, and we need a provider once more. And out of the same reason why I didn't do it in the other class, we give it to the smallest context, the possibility to access that user model. I think that's quite a good idea. And with that, we get that error message down here. With not that, we get still our error. Now what is happening? The consumer is there, change notifier is there. We have the consumers in place. What do we have else? We have that hide container, fine. Okay, let's check what's the error. To fix, please ensure the provider user model is an ancestor to the login widget. If I'm looking in the home page, the main dart has changed most likely. Yeah, here we have still that handle whatever. We don't need that yet. I don't want to have that text. We removed that scaffold from here, from home, and we said we call just the home page, which we need to import. And we get rid of these libraries. Cool. And with that, hopefully, yes, we are logged in again. We can log out again. But we don't get the information like it seems. So I have still my error here. No, this works. Where's the problem? Where's the problem? Why don't I see it? That the text, we have value status changed to authenticated. User model status authenticated, which we also should here change. User model, okay. And that's this. And now why does it not work? Okay, let's clean that once more and start it all up again. Whew. Main dot, primary switch, beautiful. Homepage material app, okay. So provider handle logout. Yeah, should do the trick, I think. Or do I forget something in handle logout? No, we just sign out. The rest should be done by the application. Okay, we log in again. We try that. We try log out. Finally. Okay. Somehow I got informed that the user is again logged in. Okay. Anyway, I have to check what's changed, what is wrong. But not today. I think for today we are through. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your support. I'm very happy to have 16 subscribers already. That's like massive. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you want to see more videos, please stay tuned. Press on the subscribe button here if you want to see a video that could be interesting for you. You will find it on the left top corner, I think. And currently I'm working on a Dart development training more or less, and I hope I can release that in the next couple of months. And it will be here on YouTube also available. So if you are interested, yeah, let's see if you like it. Whenever you have any ideas how I can improve myself, please give me some feedback. I would be very happy. And now I just can say thank you for joining me. Have a very nice evening, and till the next time. See ya, guys.